The media has been focusing on Brad Pitt's abandonment of the custody battle with Angelina Jolie for their children in recent days. One of the reasons leading to the actor's withdrawal is Pax Thien, the adopted son who publicly criticized his adoptive father as a miserable excuse of a man. 18 years ago, Brad Pitt became the legal father of 3 children adopted by Angelina Jolie after marrying the sex symbol. From being the son who was always by his side, who Brad Pitt used to carry in his arms, Pax Thien turned his back on his father after the actor divorced Angelina Jolie. At the peak of it, the Vietnamese-born son said his father was a miserable excuse of a man, turning the family's life into hell. Brad Pitt was deeply hurt by his son's words. This is also the reason why the actor decided to give up the custody battle with his ex-wife. Currently, Pax Thien has crossed the age of 21. After 18 years, the Vietnamese-born adopted son has become the one most closely associated with Angelina Jolie. The media often captures moments when Pax Thien accompanies his mother in public. From the moment he was born, Pax Thien was abandoned by his biological mother and lived at the Tam Binh Orphanage Center in Ho Chi Minh City. From a shy and quiet boy, Pax Thien was adopted by Angelina Jolie and visibly grew up by the age of 21. Someone once said, "Life is like a river, always with twists and turns named destiny." Right now, at Dam Market in Nha Trang, Pham Tu Dung must be feeling a wrenching pain as she sees the son, Pham Quang Sang, whom she once abandoned, now bearing the Jolie-Pitt surname, being lovingly raised by adoptive parents, but unable or not allowed to visit her. Because she left him in a corner of a hospital during the chaos of life's upheaval and illness. And she doesn't know if one day, her child would be welcomed into a Hollywood family like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's. "I abandoned him, I didn't think he was still alive, I was wrong," Pham Tu Dung cries. The petite woman thought time would help her forget, but it seems to be a pain that forces her to live in silence and regret. She lives in anticipation, perhaps in vain, hoping for her child to return, like white clouds drifting back to their birth mountain. But on the long road, do white clouds really return? A life in ruins, Dung still remembers the days of revelry at some famous nightclubs in Saigon nearly 15 years ago. At 18, 1995, when she went to clubs like My Man or Thai Sun, almost everyone knew Dung's name, notorious for her wild antics. The nightclubs lasted until morning, with alcohol, drugs, fights like everyday occurrences, settling disputes like gangsters. Anyone acting up on the dance floor would immediately feel Dung's wrath, without hesitation, to the point where security guards would plead with her, "Please, no more trouble tonight." Her circle of friends were all tough, street-smart types from District 4. Dung gained fame for picking fights and extorting money from her victims, meaning she would fight one night and then demand payment from the victims at a cafe on La Ton Ton Street the next day. The whole group of young partygoers, around 20 years old, didn't go home, pooling money to rent a house on La Van Sai Street. They gathered there during the day, but each went their own way at night. Some worked at nightclubs, some went out to party, and almost all of them were involved in drug use. Many of Dung's friends died from drug overdoses, and some died from HIV. At 19, she began to spiral into drug addiction and the world of drugs. Dung recalls that her friends would offer her drugs, but she initially refused. However, they persisted, saying, "Try it, and your life will change. In the end, your life will be different." At that age, Tu Dung was quite reckless, quick to respond to any challenge. At that time, Dung's family was quite wealthy because her father was a sea captain. But Dung was wild and reckless, and no amount of money could control her. To have money, as her parents had decided to cut off her financial support, Dung pawned her motorcycle and sent the papers home for her parents to redeem. Dung remembers one time when her mother asked her to find her in the market because she couldn't find the key to the cabinet. Dung found her mother, took the key, but before returning home, she made a detour to a locksmith to have a duplicate key made for herself. As a result, she had money quite easily afterwards, sometimes taking it, sometimes pawning gold. Or sometimes she borrowed money, and when she couldn't repay it, the creditors would come to her house, and her mother had to pay, eventually becoming accustomed to it. Dung recalls that she probably squandered half of her parents' fortune, and later, when her parents' business failed, their situation became truly difficult. Pham Tu Dung at that time was very different from Pham Tu Dung at the age of 19. She was the most pampered child in the family. When she was young, she was a good student, studying at O Duong Lan Elementary School, District 8, and then at La Cai Dan High School. She graduated from high school with more than 38 points in 4 subjects. For 9 years, Dung was always an excellent student. In 10th grade, when she was hit by a car while riding her bicycle and broke her leg, her father immediately bought her an Astrea motorcycle, a privilege usually only for rich kids. Perhaps because of such indulgence, she went astray early. Dung began to fall when she was in 11th grade. At that time, her father was away on business trips all the time, leaving only her mother at home. Dung often lied to her mother that she was going to school, but in reality, she went out to party, from one nightclub to another, always back home by 10:30 p.m. Some people saw her coming home and reported it to her family, but no one in Dung's family believed it. So, after graduating, Dung exploded. Dung still remembers, on March 25, 1998, when her mother took her to a rehabilitation center in Binh Tru. Dung was 21 at that time. Her father only knew the truth. In the evening, he sat on a chair in the living room and cried. Later, he went to the altar to light incense for his father, then stood there crying. At that time, Dung promised herself that she would quit, telling her father, "Dad, take me to rehab, I can't live like this anymore." But after 3 months, she returned, relapsed, and then quit again. Dung no longer remembers how many times she went through rehabilitation, relapsing after each attempt. Sitting now, looking back, Dung says that her life had no purpose, it was all her fault, she ruined her own future. Dung said she idolized her father. It was her father who guided the siblings in the family, but Dung was the wayward child. If she had followed the right path, her life might have been different. And if her first love had been smooth, perhaps her fate would have been different too. The breakup of her first love pushed the young girl into a sense of revenge against life. Dung gathered in nightclubs and drug dens as a way to forget. The men she met only came for money, not love. Later, when she met Kwang Sang's biological father, it was partly for money too. At that time, Dung was a garment worker at a company in Lai Thu, Binh Duong, and this man was her team leader, already married with children. Apparently, there were conflicts between the two, so in 2004, Dung decided to break up and quit her job, at which time she didn't know she was pregnant. And then the pregnancy grew, and the father of the child didn't know, and Dung decided not to tell him. She also considered abortion, but out of pity for the innocent child, she decided to keep it. At that time, Dung had quit drugs, but when she found out she was pregnant, feeling bored, her life at a standstill, without love, unemployed, she relapsed. As the child grew in her womb, Dung didn't think about going for checkups, she just needed money to feed her addiction. At that time, I was a completely different person. Sang's father is a man who already has his own family and is completely unaware of Sang's existence. Even Sang's drug-addicted mother didn't know she was pregnant after breaking up with this man. Subsequently, Sang was taken to the Tam Bin Orphanage Center. At birth, Sang suffered from malnutrition, weighing only about 2.1 kilograms, with severe eczema covering his entire body. Thanks to proper care, Sang became healthier and more active. However, for a period of time, no one was willing to adopt him. In 2006, Angelina Jolie visited Vietnam and stopped by the Tam Bin Orphanage Center. At that time, Kwang Sang was 3 years old, frail, and shy. The movie star was particularly impressed by the timid, reserved boy who often stood alone in a corner of the room. She expressed her desire to adopt Kwang Sang. By early January 2007, Jolie officially filed for adoption in Vietnam. In March 2007, the procedures were completed, and the boy was adopted by Angelina Jolie and taken to the United States. Pham Kwang Sang became Angelina Jolie's adopted son. Pham Kwang Sang's name was changed to Pax Thien. The actress, born in 1975, explained that this name means peaceful sky. As the child of a Hollywood star, Pax Thien became the center of attention for foreign media. When he first arrived in the United States, he remained reserved and somewhat fearful. Living in Angelina Jolie's family, Pax Thien befriended Maddox, Zahara, Shiloh, and the twins Knox and Vivian. Images of Pax Thien playing with his siblings somewhat reassured the public, and he gradually became more open and integrated into his new environment. For nearly 20 years, Dung, Pax Thien's birth mother, has not been close to anyone and has not reciprocated the love of any man. She lives quietly, as if trying to blend into life, to forget, and for no one to question who she is or how she once lived. I finish work occasionally and go out for ice cream and drinks with my sisters. Mostly just watch TV. Then I go online and read the news. To me, the news isn't that important. Mainly I want to see how Sang is doing now. Every time I see the name Pax Thien, I tremble. When I read that Angelina put the national flag on my son's bed and hired a tutor to teach him Vietnamese, I burst into tears. Seeing Angelina Jolie's family treating my child so well, I am both happy for my child and regretful. Happy because my child has a better life now, but also regretful. If only I hadn't made a mistake, if I hadn't abandoned my child, then now I wouldn't be sitting halfway around the world watching my child's life like this. I wish time could go back, I would do it over. I would do everything to make it up to my child. Dung choked up. In November 2011, Angelina fulfilled her promise to Pax Thien, bringing him back to visit his homeland as planned. Pax Thien, now grown up, became a hot boy in Hollywood. As for femme Dung, sitting in a room that doesn't belong to her, she looks pensive, hoping for a chance to meet her son once to apologize. Mom was very wrong to abandon you at the hospital, but please forgive Mom, because Mom did that in a state of loss of control. If now you need anything, Mom will come. And if you don't need Mom, it means you haven't forgiven. Mom won't blame you either. Consider it life, fate is like that. No one gets to choose where they are born. For Pham Quang Sang, he had no choice in where he lived either. But fate chose to give him a fuller future, and no one knows what tomorrow will bring. So there is still a mother, somewhere in this life, waiting for him to grow up and return on his own to forgive the guilty mother who made the unforgivable mistake of abandoning her child. Like the distant road, white clouds will return. Even then, mother's hair has turned into white clouds. Pax Thien, Angelina Jolie's Vietnamese-born adopted son, sparked controversy when he publicly criticized Brad Pitt in defense of his mother. Pax Thien is said to have used harsh words to criticize Pitt in an Instagram post on Father's Day in 2020. At that time, Pax Thien used his own account to criticize his adoptive father years after Pitt was accused of domestic violence against his ex-wife Angelina Jolie and 2 of their 6 children on a private plane. Happy Father's Day to this world scumbag. He repeatedly proves himself to be a terrible and despicable person. He shows no concern or empathy for the youngest children who tremble in fear when he appears. Pax Thien also wrote a message on a photo of Pitt receiving an Oscar in 2020, saying that the Fight Club star will never understand the damage he has caused to the family. Angelina Jolie's Vietnamese-born adopted son continued, "He has turned the lives of those closest to me into eternal hell. He may say anything he wants to himself and the world, but one day the truth will come to light. So, happy Father's Day, you are a terrible human being."